Well, hello there. My name is Christopher Scott, and I serve as a small groups pastor at a local church. And in this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the book of Nahum. Nahum is one of the minor prophets in our Bible. There's 5 major prophets, 12 minor prophets, and Nahum is one of those minor prophets. And I want to provide for you in this video a brief overview and introduction of the book. I'll cover 6 main things. I'm going to talk about the author of the book of Nahum, the audience he was writing to, the date the book was written. I'm going to give you an outline of the book, a key verse, and a key theme from the book. But first, before I do that, I want to give you a historical background to the minor prophets in general that will really help you as you study Nahum or Hosea or Joel or Amos or any of the other minor prophets. So I'm going to give you some dates and some historical background that will kind of set the scene for the book of Nahum or any other minor prophet you happen to want to study and take a look at. So, like I said, there's 5 in the Christian Bible. There are 5 major prophets, and then there's 12 minor prophets, and they're different simply because of the size of the book, the number of chapters, as a general rule of thumb. Not perfectly all the time, but the 5 major prophets are usually larger and bigger. The 12 minor prophets are usually smaller, as a general rule, and those minor prophets are divided up into 12 books, like I said, and the key event that I want to talk about is when the nation of Israel splits into 2 kingdoms, right? So there was King David that had the nation of Israel all together, then King David's son Solomon kept Israel all together, and then King Solomon's son Rehoboam makes some dumb decisions, and I have a video up there about what he did, and in 931 BC, the kingdom splits in 2, right? The nation of Israel splits in 2. 10 tribes stay in the north, which is called Israel. Their capital city is Samaria, and there's 10 tribes that stay up there. And then 2 tribes stay in the south. That's called Judah. Their capital city is Jerusalem, and there's 2 tribes that stay there, Judah and Benjamin. So Israel in the north, 10 tribes, Judah in the south, 2 tribes. And what happens after 931 BC, the kingdom split. There's a northern kingdom of Israel, there's a southern kingdom of Judah. But in 722 BC, the nation of Assyria comes to Israel and they conquer Israel and take those 10 tribes back to Assyria. That happens in 722 BC. Assyria comes to Israel and conquers Israel and takes the people back to Assyria. Then a little time later after that, the Babylonians conquer the Assyrians, right? The Babylonians conquer the Assyrians, so they now have all control of the area. And the Babylonians come to the southern kingdom of Judah, and they conquer them in 586 BC. So 586 BC, the Babylonians come and they conquer Judah. And they really came in 605 BC first, conquered them. 597 BC, conquered them. But really 586 BC is the time they completely wiped out the people and the nation and the temple and the walls and just decimated it, right? So 722 BC is when Assyria conquers Israel in the north. And then Babylon comes and conquers Judah in the south in 586 BC. But shortly after that, the nation of Persia conquers Babylon, right? So the Assyrians have been conquered by the Babylonians have been conquered by the Persians, and now King Cyrus of Persia issues a decree that lets the Jews go back to the land of Judah, back to Jerusalem, to live there, worship there, and try to restore their lives there. So that happens under the Persians, under King Cyrus. And that is led by a guy named Zerubbabel. In 538 BC, Zerubbabel takes some people back from Persia to Judah to try to restore life there. And you can read about that in the book of Ezra, chapters 1 through 6. And then a second wave of people come back. They come back in 458 BC under Ezra, right? And you can read about that in Ezra chapters 7 through 10. That's in 458 BC that people come back again. And then a little later in 444 BC, Nehemiah comes back to Judah in the south again with some more people to restore order and livelihood there. And you can read about that in the book of Nehemiah, obviously. So that's a historical background to the book of Nahum. Just kind of set some things in place there to help you as you read, these dates and hear it. You have a little bit of a historical backdrop about what was going on at that time and who was where and what they were doing where, okay? So next I want to talk to you about Nahum, right? The author of the book of Nahum. We don't know much about Nahum except that he was from the town of Elkosh, but we don't really know much about that either, right? So we don't know a lot about the guy named Nahum, just that he was from the town of Elkosh and that he was a prophet. The people he was writing to, the audience he was writing to, was the people in Nineveh, the people of Assyria, right? So he's writing to Nineveh, to the people of Assyria, predicting their doom, that God is going to punish them in the future, right? But it seems that Nahum's also talking to the nation of Judah and comforting them, because in the past, the Assyrians had tried to come to Judah to conquer them. You can read about that in the books of 1st and 2nd Kings. You can read about that. But so Nahum's writing to Nineveh, to the people of Assyria in Nineveh, predicting their doom, but he's also comforting Judah because the Assyrians have tried to conquer them in the past, okay? In Nineveh, it's mentioned in every single chapter of this book, right? Nineveh is mentioned over and over and over again about what God is going to do to them. The date the book was written likely is between 663 BC to 612 BC, and we know that because the fall of Thebes, which was a city mentioned in Nahum 3:8, that fell in 663 BC, and we know that the city of Nineveh fell in 612 BC, right? So we have some good contemporary evidence and good contemporary history we can use to date the book. So somewhere between 663 BC and 612 BC is when the book of Nahum was written. I'm going to give you a brief outline of the book of Nahum from Warren Wiersbe's commentary, Be Amazed, a great commentary. Wiersbe outlines each chapter with a different title. He says, Chapter 1, God is jealous. Nineveh will fall. Chapter 2, God is judge. How Nineveh will fall. Chapter 3, God is just. Why Nineveh will fall. That's from Warren Wiersbe's commentary. And two key verses that Warren Wiersbe talks about for this book that I think make sense. Chapter 1, verse 2 is a key verse for this book. It says, The Lord is a jealous God, filled with vengeance and rage. He takes revenge on all who oppose him and continues to wage war against his enemy. Verse 7, The Lord is good, a strong refuge when trouble comes. He is close to those who trust in him, right? So God's not going to let Nineveh punish and hurt his people of Judah. He is going to punish and hurt the nation of Nineveh. Okay, the nation of Assyria, the people living in Nineveh. A key theme for the book is the vengeance of God on his enemies. And God's enemies is the nation of Assyria, more specifically the people living in Nineveh. And if you like to learn more, I suggest you get the Bible Knowledge Commentary. It has a great chart of the prophecies in the book of Nahum and then their contemporary fulfillments in history that we know about Nahum, right? That's written by Elliot Johnson, a great guy that I got to know while attending Dallas Theological Seminary. So the Bible Knowledge Commentary, specifically the book of Nahum, as a great chart about the fulfillments of the prophecies in the book of Nahum. So if you want to study these books more and learn more, I really recommend you get that Bible Knowledge Commentary. I'll have some links down there in the description that will give you affiliate links to Amazon. So if you purchase something from Amazon, I do earn a commission, just to let you know. But I suggest you get the Bible Knowledge Commentary. That's a great help. There's also a great introduction to the Old Testament prophetic books by C. Hassel Bullock. It's a gem of great introductions to things talked about in the prophetic books, specifically the minor prophets also, and as well as the Warren Wiersbe Be Amazed and Bible Study Guide. I'll have links down there too, good resources for you. So I hope this video was helpful for you and that it helps you as you study the book of Nahum. If you found this video helpful and want to subscribe for updates, you can subscribe up there. If you want to learn how to use the Wiersbe Bible Study Guide in a small group, I've got a how-to video up there. I've got a group that I'm working with right now that's going through this study guide. If you want to find other introductions to books of the Bible, most of them are about 5 minutes. I got some of those over there. Or if you're a small group facilitator and you want a bunch of good small group facilitator tips, I got those videos over there. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you again soon in another video.